Chapter 23, Skyrocketing through 5D. There's one more area I want to touch on, and it's not as high vibe as the rest of this work, but it's crucial. We've spoken before about energy vampires, how to recognize them, how to expel them, and how not to become one yourself. Still, what happens when the state itself is the energy vampire? That's what we're dealing with now. A full-scale assault on the human energy field through trauma, distraction, deception, and divide-and-conquer tactics. The darkness doesn't just prey on us through obvious evil. It uses movements, media, and false flags to drain the life force of humanity. We are witnessing the co-opting of our youth, not just through trafficking and abuse, though that continues behind the curtain, but through social engineering, through movements that cloak themselves in virtue while stoking emotional volatility and self-righteous separation. Movements like climate extremism, identity manipulation, and hyperpolarized activism aren't evil, but many have been twisted, infiltrated, and used to fragment our collective field. Antifa, transhumanism, LGBTQIA++, cultural exploitation. It's not about condemning individuals. It's about recognizing when an energetic hijack is taking place. What appears to be progressive often carries a subliminal payload of trauma, guilt, shame, or ideological division. These campaigns feed on emotional pain. They separate us. They confuse us. They generate massive waves of louche, emotional discharge that dark forces consume. False flag operations, military escalations, school shootings, gender confusion, and engineered climate hysteria, these are trauma programs. Their function is both physical and energetic. On the surface, they usher in surveillance, legislation, and social compliance. On a deeper level, they are designed to shock your nervous system and implant programmable responses. This is Trauma Programming 3.0. You may think trauma is just personal, but it's been weaponized at the social level. This is what you must heal, not just to feel better, but because unhealed trauma makes you programmable. If you are unhealed, you are vulnerable to suggestion, to despair, to manipulation. Trauma isn't just a wound, it's an entry point. That's why the system works so hard to keep you in a state of emotional disrepair. It's not just about surveillance. It's about control of the frequency field. I've been there. I've lost people I loved. I've had my heart broken in ways that took years to heal. I did the work. I sat with the pain. I metabolized it, and I released it. Because if you don't, it owns you. You cannot allow yourself to remain traumatized, not if you want to be free. You must do whatever it takes. Therapy, regression, journaling, medicine work, soul retrieval, inner child reconnection, whatever helps you come home to yourself. Forgiveness is part of it. Not for them, for you. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve to reclaim your inner authority, to restore your frequency, to cut the tether that binds you to the very systems you're trying to escape. That's what moves us to the next level. That's the real rocket fuel. We've all heard it. You must forgive. That's true. Forgiveness is essential. It's a non-negotiable step on the ascension path. What's less talked about is what comes after forgiveness. That's where things really start to take off. Because it's not just about letting go of pain or releasing resentment. It's about finding gratitude and not the performative kind. Not, oh, I guess that taught me something. No, this is deep, soul-level gratitude. This is standing in front of something that wrecked you, that gutted you, and saying, thank you. Thank you for what it showed me. Thank you for who I became because of it. Yes, sometimes it's as small as stepping on broken glass in the garage. In that moment, you could curse it or you could say thank you, because it could have been worse. Now you know, no more barefoot wandering through cluttered boxes. It sounds silly, but the reaction, the energetic orientation is everything. When my father died, it was sudden. He seemed healthy. There was no illness, no drawn-out suffering. It was a shock. Yet there was grace. He left quickly, cleanly. No hospital machines. No prolonged pain. Just a quiet transition. He had been writing a book about the meaning of God before he passed. Maybe in some way he's writing it with me now. I am grateful, truly, fiercely grateful, that he lived as long and as well as he did. I'm grateful for the way he left. I feel his presence now more than ever. I thank him every time I sit down to write. This leads us to the level beyond gratitude, the real rocket fuel. You've got to love the experience, even the brutal ones, even the humiliating ones, even the ones that shattered you. Love it. That's what catapults you into the upper frequencies of 5D and beyond. That's what blows open the gates of your higher self. Love it all, because all of it, every second, is shaping your mastery. There is no bad karma. There is no wasted time. There is no such thing as a wrong experience. There's only 3D contrast and what you choose to do with it. I love this life. I love the mess, the grief, the mistakes, the breakthroughs, the joy, the longing, the resistance. Because this is the proving ground. This is where we remember who we are. And the more you laugh, really laugh, the faster you rise. Recode yourself. Let's talk about who we really are. Let's talk about why we came. This planet, this dense, sticky, polarized playground isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the brave, the ones who volunteer to leave lighter realms and drop into this chaos for the sake of awakening. Alex Collier says it. Other researchers and experiencers say it too. We are the frontliners of frequency. We came to anchor what others were afraid to face. We came to get stuck so we could learn to rise. Yes, we've made mistakes. Maybe we did things we came to regret. Maybe we followed kings and rulers when we shouldn't have. Maybe we betrayed loved ones, hurt others, gave in to fear. I've seen it. I've remembered it. In one past life, I poured boiling oil on someone I loved because I was following orders. Jane remembers her role in Atlantis. I remember mine in feudal war. We've all played both light and shadow. What matters now is that we fought through it. Lifetime after lifetime, we've clawed our way back toward the light. We're still here. That counts for something. In fact, it counts for everything. The ones who stayed behind in their comfy galactic lounges? Great. Thank you for the guidance. They're not the ones battling the trenches of 3D polarity. We are. That means we have the clearest perspective on how awakening actually works, because we're doing it from within. It's heavy, it's lonely, it's infuriating, yet it's also magnificent. Nietzsche knew this. He wasn't always easy to agree with, but he understood that you must love your fate. Love what life gives you. Love until it turns into liberation. Love until it becomes art. How do you do that? You laugh. You laugh so hard you forget what you were afraid of. Laughter is the frequency that cuts through density like a blade. It's how we alchemize the unbearable. It's how we breathe in the absurdity and exhale freedom. My family, we laugh at funerals. Not because we're heartless, but because we feel everything, and laughter is how we process the unbearable. Jane says, I used to faint at funerals. You laugh, I faint. I respond, I do go in the bathroom and cry at times, but my family, we find the humor. I'll share a story. A beloved aunt passed, and my mom, my aunt, and my uncle went to the wake. There were tears, wails, typical Italian mourning when they got there. As their turn came to move to the coffin and say goodbye, something hit them. This wasn't their aunt. In fact, they were surrounded by an entirely different family that they didn't know. That's when my uncle bent over, causing the back of his pants to rip from the crotch to the waist. Their laughter exploded, rocking the room. They backed out, shaking, eyes streaming, trying to exit without causing a scene. They failed. They then entered the correct room, convulsing, holding each other in order to stand. Hilarious. That laughter healed more than silence ever could. Jane says, it's an awful lot of naughty fun to get in a laughing, giggling fit in moments when it's inappropriate, but it's wonderful. Laughter is very powerful. I respond, I remember in 11th grade chemistry, I reached back into my purse because, of course, a teenage girl needs lip gloss at all times, and instead, I grabbed Barb Malone's foot. I turned and we locked eyes, my hand on her foot. That was it. I start laughing, she starts laughing, we're gone. Our teacher, Mr. Friedman, turns red and growls. You two, stop it. The more he says to stop, the worse it gets. Now the whole class is in on it, nearly prostrate with fits of laughter. Mr. Friedman keeps shouting, you've got to stop it now. He's beside himself, purple with rage. Finally, he explodes. That's it. Pop quiz. Everyone put away your notebooks. The class groans. They're mad at us and we weren't happy about it either. Yet we still giggled through the quiz, because once the laughter starts, there's no stopping it. That's what gets us through. That's what lifts us out of the grid. You can go through 3D with your heart ripped open, but if you can laugh, you transmute the pain. Forgiveness, gratitude, love, laughter. These are the keys. These are the weapons. These are the codes that let us rocket through 5D and beyond, because joy, even in the ruins, is rebellion. Rebellion, when it's grounded in love, becomes ascension. Thank you for listening to this excerpt.